On behalf of WIDR Kalamazoo, I want to welcome my buddy Danny Gayden to this little podcast ditteroo or whatever.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. I just gotta say, I've always been impressed by your musicianship and just how you carry yourself in general. But I'm excited
that means a lot.
Yeah, dude. I'm just excited to dive into a lot of things and just discuss partly like Black Lives Matter and also just your music and how that ties in. And
Sure.
as a white dude myself, like trying to understand that experience, I've been definitely pushing myself away from the white narrative, and it's kind of nice actually just to not be in denial that there are things going on and like we need to address that.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree. All of us are trying to do our part,
Mm-hmm.
in this, society. So,
Right. Definitely. So we'll start off with how you got into music initially. I'm just curious about like your musical growth as a child, and then kind of going outward from there. Did you grow up in the Chicago area, or was that just where you've ended up?
Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up on the South Side in Roseland, so that's the South Side neighborhood. My grandparents are from down south, and so around the 1950s, they moved from down south to Chicago, and that really just started, my whole
Musical
family.
genealogy.
Yeah, exactly. And then my other set of grandparents kind of grew up around in Bronzeville, which is another South Side neighborhood, maybe 10 minutes away. But that all started my whole family's journey in Chicago. And what's kind of important about that per se is that my grandparents is the reason I played jazz. Like that was their favorite music, and amazing, legendary piano player Ma Jamal came to the South Side and played all the time. And like my grandparents would go see him and check him out. So like way before I was born, like my family was all about Chicago and the South Side, all about jazz. And so fast forward to me when I, was born, like I would just hear stories about my grandfather. Oh, I went to go see, Miles Davis, and and all that stuff like that.
Man.
And I was like, oh, and telling me about all their stories. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, grandma, okay, sure. But little did I know that I'll be probably telling the same story. So that's kind of how I started off. My grandparents were telling me about jazz since I was young. And my parents didn't necessarily like jazz, but my grandparents did. And so
interesting.
I love music, and since hearing those stories, I just started in the school band in 4th grade.
Okay.
Saw Drumline with Nick Cannon, the movie. I was obsessed. And I begged my mom, I want to be Nick Cannon, Mom. That's why I told her, let me be Nick Cannon and put me in drum lessons. And it worked out. That's how I started with music. My grandparents telling me their stories, and then Drumline.
Couple of side questions. Did you go to, like, when you were going up in, I guess, your primary education, did you have a mixed like school with Black and white folks, or was it just kind of all white like my school?
In middle school, like growing up, like pre-high school, I went to a private school in the suburbs of Chicago, Oak Lawn, which is literally right outside of Chicago. It's a South Side suburb. And that was mostly like white cast that were there. But at the same time, it was, let me see if I can explain it like this. It was a majority were white students. However, there was just enough Black students where I didn't notice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There was just enough Black students there where I didn't feel like I was the only Black student, but I was so young enough that I didn't pay attention to the whole school and realize, okay, maybe it is only 5 of us,
Yeah.
6 of us. But it was just such enough sprinkled in for me that I
especially if you were like homies with some of them too, and you're just kind of like
it's
not like thinking about it.
Yeah. Right, I'm not worried about the rest of my group, and especially coming from Roseland, which it's mostly Black citizens there.
Sure.
I just wasn't really at that time at 7 or 8. I don't know if I really paid attention, but mostly white kids growing up in middle school. Yeah. Yeah.
So I know people have a lot of different experiences. One of my friends from high school, he'd always get called like he's like the whitest black kid or whatever, and I'm like, that is actually so racist, and I definitely
Yeah.
like have said that, and I didn't even think about that, you know.
And that's definitely a thing, though. That's definitely a thing growing up, and
For sure, you
that's
kind
definitely a
of
thing where like
acclimatize to like the culture you're in, more or less.
exactly like, oh, you're the whitest, and so that was for me that was a thing because I was a band kid, I was a band nerd, and
Yeah,
I wasn't into the cool stuff, and so that definitely was a thing for me too. Like, okay, I'm the band, I'm the drummer boy, the little geeky drummer boy, so
little geeky drummer boy.
right, so that
um,
I definitely understand that, and that definitely makes a lot of sense.
yeah, for sure. And then you kind of discussed like what drew you toward the drums. I was just curious if you've ever seen the little movie called Stomp, where it's just like they're banging on pots and pans, and if you haven't, you should check it out.
That sounds very familiar, actually. I don't believe I have, but that
Okay.
sounds really familiar. Okay,
They
I
have a
will check
bunch
that out.
of series like I don't even know. It's like
I
part
will
music
check that
video, part like stage. I don't even know. It's
out.
such a
Uh
cool thing, but yeah, I
huh. I
was
will check
wondering
it out.
about that. Um,
Yeah.
and moving on, I guess. Let's see. Biggest sources of inspiration for you that can be like aesthetically, artistically. Such a big question, but
No, that's a good
what
question.
inspires you?
Yeah. A lot of things. My mom does. She put me in her specifically. Um, I started off wanting to be the next Bruce Lee, and I want to do karate. And she put me in like karate lessons. And then I want to be, the next Michael Jordan. So, I played on the basketball team for. So I kept wanting to do these things. My mind kept changing, like most kids do. But she was so consistent in making sure I had some type of art or some type of thing to make me be quiet and to make me
Yeah,
do what to make me be quiet and
not
to put me
necessarily a
into
screen.
something. Right. And so the drums work and music work. And she's I mean, yeah, my mom's a goat. Like she's a professor in Chicago on the South Side. And so from an early age, just to seeing like my mom, like a black woman, do so many amazing things and be intelligent, be smart, be, artistically aware. So a lot of my early stuff, I was, okay, I'm gonna do this for my mom. All right, yep, I'm gonna learn this paradiddle for my
Yeah.
mom. Yep, here we go. These little stuff like that, or any type of music, little term. And so my mom definitely does. And I went to an art high school, which
Gotcha.
was an amazing experience. For Shy Arts and Chicago High School for Arts. So a lot of my friends from Shy Arts and still inspire me, and so a lot of things. I mean, so many things. So my mom and my friends from Shy Arts and my peers from Shy Arts, um, and little things like Instagram and Twitter and
Yeah.
Pinterest. I literally go through
Love
Instagram
Pinterest.
and see, yeah, like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I think since I got a little bit older, the main thing out of my high school friends and Pinterest is what black people are going through in this country right now. That really hit another core for me. And growing up, I didn't realize that as a 8, 9, 10-year old. I did, but I didn't express it in an artistic way. And
Mm,
so going to high school, which is way different. Like in middle school was mostly white kids, and at Shy Arts, it's kids from every background you could
yup.
even imagine. I was slapped in the face. I'm not sure how many, and I should look this up, but like districts there are in Chicago, but I remember reading the stat that Shy Arts have a student from every district in the city of Chicago. So
That's
I've seen
wild.
so many different people with so many different thoughts, so many different opinions, so many different. I mean, it was so insane to me
Yeah.
that I became an activist, almost not on purpose, but because being a black person myself and trying to be safe and trying to tell my story. And then I'm seeing all these different stories from my city. I became an activist, and the music I started to write were, it just told a story. And as I got older and older and older and eventually got to Western, I really started to take that responsibility a little bit more serious. And so that's the main thing that's been inspiring me now. And that's the main thing that's, since I got to college, that's been the thing that's been inspiring me. But all those
Yeah. I find that so interesting. Anytime I'm like, I feel like I'm not writing about like the Black struggle, even though I don't like personally have that experience, I guess. I always
things.
feel guilty. I'm just like I'm not being a good ally right now. What am I doing?
No, I feel it. No, I'm always thinking that. I'm
You
always thinking, am
know?
I doing even my part? Even though I am a black man, am I doing my part? You know, what am I
Yeah.
doing? It's
And
scary. It's
it's
scary.
crazy, dude. And yes, it's scary. Um, and so yeah.
It is.
But so yeah, you were drawn towards jazz, and you've been playing in that little school for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just curious, like, do you feel that jazz or really any other genre is an intersection of race and culture, and if so, how? And like, in
Oh,
what ways do you see that?
definitely. Black music in particular, which, jazz, blues, and we're talking specifically about jazz. It's a
Yeah,
culmination of the Black experience. It's not just the notes that's being played, it's the story.
right,
It's the struggle. It's growing up in the inner city. It's um it's a culture, and so our jazz ancestors and the people who came way before me and was doing things way before I was even thought of, they pioneered everything because they created the most beautiful art form while they were not accepted in this country, which is it's just completely insane. Charlie Parker or Dizzy Gillespie, who
yeah,
created, bebop, Thelonious Monk. These cats weren't, they weren't accepted, like, in their world, in their society.
yeah,
And so I just, it's mind blowing. Like, jazz music is a culmination of how to live as a Black man or Black woman in this country, how to eat, how to work, how to survive, how to laugh, how to cry. That's what jazz is. And so that's the most beautiful thing to me. So yeah, it's culture. It's all culture. Jazz music means something different to us today than used to, but it's storytelling. That's what jazz always been, is
yeah.
storytelling. Yeah.
That's so true. And yeah, like even let alone being a Black person, surviving just out of the slavery and like civil rights movements that kind of came later on. Like, I can't even
Mm-hmm.
imagine with the poverty that just generally was around the world around those, 20th century times, like what that must have been like. And yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
like being able to
Yeah.
create that art, which
Man.
honestly doesn't surprise me because that was probably the one thing they had to hang on to that was
That's
like,
the only thing. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, that's a great point. That's that in spirituality, for
mm,
Black Americans, it's music, it's art, and it's spirituality. That's the only thing, because you can leave your house, and not return,
right.
or you can, get laid off your job, or what all these things that African Americans still go through,
Hmm.
but they went through it just as much, and so they had going to the club and swinging that night. That's cool,
Yeah.
and God in church. So I'm gonna swing on Friday, swing on Saturday, and then I'm gonna go to church. And so, if that. And so
And
those are the
gospel
only two.
music.
Exact gospel, exactly, gospel, blues, yeah, it's all that. So you swing it and then you singing, spirituals on Sunday. And so that was the only. That's the thing that Black people had to hold on to. And so I think artists in general, all artists' goal is to express the times you're in. That's what an artist's goal is.
Yeah,
And so the times they were in, it came into jazz, per se. So.
definitely. We're still talking about jazz. So you had the diverse experience. Was it Shy Art or
Shires.
Shy Art? What drew you to Western's jazz program, and just comparison to other programs, or I don't know.
Yeah, Keith Hall. I
That's a
love
good
Keith.
answer.
Yeah. Keith Hall's gonna be my answer for everything in this. I love Keith
Yeah.
so much. And Keith Hall drew me, and you know, yeah, Keith Hall drew me in. He's the reason I'm here. And I love all the faculty, and I love um the supportive scene that our jazz program here.
Yeah.
It's insane. We all love it. It's a family. It's a huge family. And we can talk not just as musicians, but I feel like I can come to this faculty as a person, as a student, as a human being. And you can't really get that some places, and I'm sure you can
Yeah.
get that a lot of places, but some places you can't. And so to have amazing musicians who tour the world, but they're just like, oh, that's Keith,
It's like, yeah, we're just in
that's
Kalamazoo, but
Matthew
we have,
Freeze,
yeah.
yeah. It's so beautiful, and it's just such a beautiful thing. But Keith is the reason why I came,
Yeah.
And building that connection with him. And I mean, I love Keith so much. Yeah, Keith.
Keith was he wasn't my first class, but he was one of my first classes with the like intro to jazz or whatever, just like
Yeah,
history.
yeah,
And that was so like illuminating for me. I'm like, oh, here's this thing I like probably thought I should hate, and now I'm like completely in love with jazz and all the
yeah,
little
exactly,
things with
exactly.
it. And
Yeah,
it
Keith is.
just,
Yeah, no, he's so
man,
passionate about the class. I know. I
yeah,
have friends take that class before. Yeah.
it's crazy, man. And so you recently released a single from your movement or album. I don't know what to call
Yeah,
it.
for my suite.
From
Yeah.
your suite, there you go.
Hmm.
Called Tish, correct?
Yeah, Tish.
Weird. Are you planning to release the rest of that at some point, or got to get some recordings done?
I've been kind of contemplating that a little bit. I do have to get some recording done. All of
For
it's not
sure.
recorded. But I don't know if I'm there
Yeah.
artistically to release a full project of Pieces of Color. Like it was such a beautiful, you know, feeling to get it out for my recital. And
Yeah.
almost a year later, people are still respecting and grasping Tish, which is so beautiful. And so I'm looking forward to my senior recital, and I'm, looking, that's coming up very soon.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I'm going to do that. I will have Pieces of Color available at some point in time on some type
Sure.
of platform, whether it's a single, whether it's on iTunes, whatever. Maybe it's just I don't know, just some idea of having everything out just so I could document it. But I don't know if I'm going to release it as an album.
For sure. I was just curious about that. So
Yeah,
being like, you need to release it.
right. You must really, right. You must release it right now, right.
That kind of ties into this other question of just future collaboration opportunities you're hoping to find or seek out, and or like how you're going to go about that.
Yeah. I'm at a point right now where I want to collab with anyone possible. Growing up, I would listen to Prince talk about how he has like a vault in his home with like 10 million songs that no one has ever heard over the last 30 years of his life. And so I'm not trying to be the next Prince and have 10 million songs, but collaboration it's an art form, and it's really just expressing yourself in the highest form. And when you can do that with another human being, another artist, I think that's special. And so I have so many names, that I would love to do things with. And Chicago in particular, I love No Name. And that's my goal. I want to go back home and do things with No Name. I think she's amazing. And that's big dreams, obviously, but I love No Name now. And so, yeah, that's one of my goals. But
No Name.
Collaborating with No Name. Yep, that's my goal. Who you want to collab with? No Name. That's it. But that's one of my goals. But here in Kalamazoo, I've been collabing with something like, I'm so tight with the Lush Cats from the band Lush. And they're just amazing. And so a lot of them was on my recital, and they helped me so much, Eddie
Yeah,
Codrington. That's like, my big bro. And so collabing with him, he has so many things coming out
he
that
does.
I'm so excited for. So I would love to do more things with him. And Faith Kwashi, another jazz student who's amazing, killing.
Yeah.
I want to do more things with her. She has to, and my roommate Kyle Burgess, or Kyle James, on SoundCloud, amazing. And I want to do. I'm always doing stuff with him, but even more things with him. So just my friend group alone, I'll be fine if I just make
Boom,
music.
quartet.
Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. But going back home in Chicago, I do want to, and I do think it's special, the legacy Chicago artists have made, like No Name, like Chance.
I didn't
And
know Chance
so,
is from Chicago.
yeah, Southside. Yeah, he's from
Interesting.
Chicago. And Saba, another great rapper from Chicago. Pivot Gang. I like all these artists from Chicago. I love the legacy they left, and I want to thrust
Carry
myself
it.
one day in that, legacy of Southside artists who express themselves, and so, or West Side artists who express themselves. So yeah.
For sure. That's so cool. I'm in the same boat right now. Just because I don't know, like I know a lot of the jazz cats, I know a lot of the Matt cats, and I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like, what do I do?
Yeah. I know. It's like, so anyone wants to, what's going on?
At the
Um,
yeah, before coronavirus hit, I was actually collaborating with Griffin Buchheit of Nothing New, and he's some other stuff too. But
yeah.
basically at Mute City, and
That's sweet.
him and Dom Gould, who's also in the Matt program, and we just like made this really weird like math rocky thing that was so interesting, and then we never got to continue it because coronavirus hit. But
All
I'd
right.
love to go back and try it again.
No, please do. And I love your work, man. You're killing. I love the things you show me, like 2 or 3 things you show. I love it. I'm
I got
very
some
excited
more
for
stuff
you.
I'll have to send to you, and I
Please
would love
do.
to collab again because I
Oh,
need some
please.
drummers. That'd be cool if I
Oh,
had like
please.
different drummer on each song. That'd be interesting.
That
Like a
is
different
thought.
spin, but
Yeah. Anytime you need me, just let me
where
know.
did. And then I guess before we go, at least for the interview portion, we'll probably talk after. Favorite Black artists from post 2000 and pre 2000.
Favorite Black artist from post 2000 and pre 2000. That's tough.
I know I hate like
That's tough.
limiting down to one.
I'll say the artist probably influenced me from those the most, probably from where I'm at right now, is it's always a toss up between Miles Davis and Michael Jackson. Those two are my goats.
I was gonna
Those are my
say,
goats.
okay,
Without those two, I wouldn't even, those two are my goats. So I go with Miles, right? MJ, I love MJ, but probably Miles, just everything he did from the start to the finish. He started in the 40s playing bebop, right? Late 40s, early
yeah,
50s, with Dizzy Gillespie and Bird playing bebop, learning that language. And then he started doing collabs with
Blue.
Prince, right, in the late 80s, and started, so it
Yeah.
was just like, wow. Okay, right. So Miles, and then post 2000, I love Frank Ocean.
Yeah, I
I
got
love
that.
Frank Ocean. I think Frank
I love
Ocean
his
is
sound.
timeless. Yeah, it's so
And
timeless.
also the message too.
Um,
Just like
yeah,
being is he I can't remember, is he like bi or gay? I can't remember. But like
yeah. I believe he's bi, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. But like even that, like in 2012 when it was probably less accepted, like he's just putting this out there like, yeah, whatever. No big deal.
Right, exactly. It was, and it's just for anyone to fully accept who they are and say, okay, I'm gonna make something memorable, about who I am. I'm not. I can only speak about who I am, and I'm gonna make this art. I'm gonna do my job to the best of my ability and express myself the best way I can, who I really am. That's cool. And so Frank is
Yeah.
killing it. Yeah.
You got one more from the post 2000? Or no?
I have so many from the post 2000.
I know.
Kendrick.
I was just gonna say Kendrick.
Kendrick. I love artists who are completely timeless in a sense where, I mean, they're able to innovate themselves and change themselves artistically and not get stuck. But each phase of their career per se, or their artistic journey, is just as beautiful. It's really mind blowing. Chance, I love Chance. I mean, that's a special heart, place in my heart.
Chance is your homie. It's from your neighborhood.
From Chicago, right? So man, that's my cousin, my big cousin. So, no, but it's. I mean, I have so many, but those are the people that probably influenced me so much. Braxton Cook is another.
Steve Lacy,
jazz artist. Right. Steve Lacy. Oh my gosh, the internet shit. Like, so I can go on.
Thundercat.
Right. Thundercat is. Oh my gosh.
That man.
Terrence Martin. I mean, so Terrence Martin has been. So I can keep going on and on. There's so many. People, but,
I was gonna say with Chance, it's probably 6 degrees of separation. So like, you probably. I mean, someone knows him, like, aside from the fact that he's a pretty big artist, like, that knows you, and, like, I don't know. That's the thing.
I was just saying, growing up, everyone had a Chance picture, like a driver's license. So everyone had their Chance pictures, like, oh, you took a picture with Chance, me too. And I was on it, so I'm still waiting for my Chance photo. That's all I'm waiting on. My driver's license with Chance. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it, at least for this one. We'll talk for a while. Thank you so much for talking. And,
Of course. Thank you for talking with me, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Well, have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.